Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Squad Saves Football. That is right, this is continuing on from what was Ben and Jamie Talk Football, but Ben is no more. And that is not a bad thing. He is not dead, he's not no longer with us, he has just moved on from podcasting and everything else. So the squad is coming in to replace him. Now, what is the squad? Well, you've got me, Jamie, and Jamie with me today as well. And we also have two others called Aiden and Jake who have missed the first podcast. So make sure, you drop a comment when they're next in and say, wow, you are slackers from the very start. But what we're going to be talking about in general, look, we're going to be talking about football. And there's so many things that are not quite right in football, I feel like, these days. From the teams that come up from being promoted from the Championship, going straight back down to the Premier League, to the Championship again, sorry. And also VAR, I mean, what is it, 3 years, 4 years now, Jamie, and it still is a pile of rubbish. Morgan Rogers has a thing or two to say about that, I think, after the last weekend of the Premier League. So yeah, football needs saving, and the squad is here to do it. But anyway, Jamie, before we get into the main first topic of the UCL preview, I do want to touch on that VAR moment with Morgan Rogers on the weekend, which is very costly for Aston Villa, because I think, although the week before I actually predicted Man U to cause an upset, don't know if you remember that, it probably wouldn't have happened if that goal had gone in, would it? They would have probably held on to a 1-0 lead with that short time left.
It's hard to say. It's the butterfly effect at the end of the day, isn't it? We can speculate that they could have gone 1-0 and it would have stayed like that. But VAR, this is where I have a different view of it, because coming from the Championship and having none of it at all, I'm so for it. I know Liverpool have had things happen against them, big decisions against them with VAR. Other teams have, obviously, but coming from the Championship and not having it, the amount of mistakes that are made, and they are so costly, and it can destroy your season. VAR get more decisions right than they do wrong.
Yeah,
I agree they have to improve, but they're never going to be 100%. It's never ever going to be 100%.
yeah, and
Just without it, it's horrible. It is absolutely horrible. You're relying on a linesman for offside calls that can't see between five players. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Whereas I don't know. I'm just totally
I
for it. And
I am pro VAR as well. I agree. I think that the concept, I should say, I am pro the concept of VAR. The whole idea of having a video checking system when there's the high stakes, the high money at the game, is just right. It just needs perfecting. For example, right, the referee made a mistake in blowing his whistle too early in the Villa game. It would have been a 50-50, right? I think the outrage was more that that one didn't go to VAR, because VAR couldn't do anything because the referee blew his whistle, even though I think they stayed on the check for a couple of minutes anyway. But yeah, I just think we'll have many discussions about VAR probably over the next Premier League season when there's a whole new bunch of problems. But I do think you get a lot of swings and roundabouts. Yes, Liverpool have been punished by it. We've also succeeded from it and benefited. And most teams get that swing and roundabout. I do think there are some that are harder done by than others. I think, it might have been Wolves had the worst
yes,
ratio at one point where it was a ridiculous against.
yeah, they went.
For
I think they went about 4 or 5 games where they just got
everything
VAR
wrong.
calls go against them consistently, and it was just like something needs to be sorted. But regards to the Morgan Rogers VAR thing, VAR didn't even come into play. So VAR can't be blamed for it because the referee blew his whistle. That is on the referee then, isn't it? Because the referee has blown his
Do you not
whistle.
think that
In the
needs fixing
current
as well?
rules,
That rule in itself, if the referee blows his whistle, VAR can't do anything. It almost goes back to
thought
Liverpool against Tottenham. Oh, the game started again, so we can't stop it. It's silly. If you've got something there
that
that
was
is a
different.
corrective, well, it's the same sort of concept though, in terms of because this one thing, even though it shouldn't have happened, has happened, we can't go back and fix it.
I I agree, but that was different because it was communication. That was
Yeah. Oh
communication
yeah,
between the two
definitely.
officials. I think you have to be careful because the referee at the end of the day is the he's the main person on that pitch. You can't play a game without that referee. He is the man. Do you know what I mean? If his whistle means nothing, because essentially that's what you're saying. His whistle then means nothing. If VAR have to over
Oh yeah.
step in over that, do you know what I mean? Above him, then his whistle essentially means nothing. The calls he makes means nothing because he could blow a whistle, and every single time the player's like, "No, go to VAR, go to VAR. We want them to sort it. We want them to sort it." So it's for me, something does need to change. Like maybe they need to let things go a little bit more. Maybe they should. Theoretically he shouldn't have blown the whistle. Let it go in, and then.
Then blow the whistle. Well, that is the rules.
But
That is the guidance for referees, isn't it?
but
That is what
the
they're told
same
to
thing
do.
is, what happens if, say, you tackle a player? Say he tackle Morgan Rogers tackles him, right? The referee blows the whistle, and then the ball. Say there's another two players there, and there's a defender and attacker, and the defender then pretty much double foots or whatever, and the attacker, and it's straight red. But it wouldn't be a red because the foul wouldn't have counted because the referee's blown his whistle already. Do you know what I mean? It
It's
wouldn't
silly.
that then wouldn't count afterwards. It's
I mean, the common sense rule
something
has to
needs
come
to be
in at some
sorted.
point, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, it does.
Have a bit of common sense. I mean, we're talking about a ball rolling across the line. That's what we're talking about. I mean, I get your point with the someone two fits and you can't go back to that. That's a whole separate issue. We are talking about a ball rolling into an empty net here and not being able to correct that. There is nothing. Now I understand the idea I think behind the referee's whistle is, well, if the referee blows, the defender might stop or the attacker might stop, and that has completely changed the process of play. But when we're talking about a ball rolling in, it doesn't matter what the referee does. You know, you can scream Bloody Mary, that ball is going to roll into the back of the net. You know, and that is where the issue goes in. And all I'll say on that is commiserations to Villa fans, because I think you can't get much more of they actually deserved Champions League. I mean, in a league football, it's very hard to say over a season. But when it comes down to the last 10 minutes of the game, you could say, all right, look, they lost, but they didn't even need to win. They would have been 1-0 up, and they actually needed a point. Which, in my opinion, 10 minutes to go, down to 10 men, they probably would have put every single person behind the ball. And I don't think United would have had enough in them to get 2 goals. I think they might have got 1. It could have happened, but I don't think they would have got 2. And even once United got 1, Villa still had to chase the game then to try and get 1 back. If it was 1-1, they wouldn't be chasing, and you got a second. But
I agree with what you say, but Villa, how poor Man United are. Should Villa have not already had the ball in the back of the net at some point in that match?
I mean,
Knowing what they were chasing, and I know sometimes that's the way the cookie crumbles, but surely they should have been going for it that much more. I understand it's the circumstance, that's what happened, and I get where you're coming from with the common sense rule needs to come into play, but you have to remember these referees have said they've been this is the way they've refereed for the past, let's say, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
It's very hard to, in the moment, just let that go when you're so hard coded to do it this way, and you're trying to learn to do it this way, but you've done this for so long. Do you know what I mean? I understand it's their job and things like that, but I don't know. I don't feel too bad about it because they are humans. They are going to make errors. At the end of the day, they're not robots.
I agree. The only thing I would say again in this circumstance is the ball was actually, even if he'd let the ball go in, then took his time, thought about it, blew his whistle, given a foul. Before times of VAR, it would have been there would have been outrage and upset, but people would have accepted it because look, he took his time and he thought about it. And I mean, talk Sunday League. I don't care if the referee takes 10 seconds to make his decision, as long as he makes his decision by the end of it. And if he takes 10 seconds extra longer to blow that whistle and give his decision either way, I'm going to be happy with it because at least he's thought about it, It's when they don't think, and I think in this case it was a lack of thinking. It was a rash decision. And we'll move on from it, though, because unlucky to Villa. I think
Going from no Champions League to talking about the
Champions League final. We have a great final. I think 2 of the 3 best teams in Europe this season in the final, which I would say Barcelona, PSG and Inter have been in my opinion, were the top three. Obviously, Inter knocked out Barcelona in the last stage. Some might say Arsenal, Mikel Arteta. Apparently, they were the best team in Europe, even though they went out. Funny how that one works. But yeah, I think two worthy finalists is kind of what I'm trying to say there. For different reasons. PSG, their pressing intensity, their play without Neymar, not just Neymar, Messi and Mbappe, the stars that they've had of the past, all being moved on, and they look like a team now. And Inter, solid defence, good attack. They didn't concede a goal, did they, in the group stage, or for a very long time?
Yeah, I don't think
they
so.
had a ridiculous record, and Inter Milan being what I picture Inter Milan as. So my question to you, in the most simple way, Jamie, is who do you think's going to win?
Who do I think's going to win, or who do I want to win?
They're two separate answers. I'll do think first, then give us your one.
I think it'll be Inter. I think it'll be Inter because, in fact, no, I don't. I really don't. I am all PSG. I am all PSG. I'm all in on PSG. I want them to win. I think they're going to win. And you took the points of why I think they're going to win away from me. You know, the lack of megastars. They've had Messi, Neymar. Do you know what I mean? They've had Mbappe. They've had these megastars, the biggest player, the biggest names in the world football. What do they have now? They don't have any of the biggest names in world football. No, realistically, they're not household. They're not. Yeah, but Dembele. I can't remember. How do you say his name? You know who I'm saying? Georgian. Yeah. They're not megastars, and their names aren't household like Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe.
They're not at that level. They're not at the same.
They're superstars.
They're one below, aren't they?
They're superstars. They're not megastars. They're not that one name you're looking for. You pass them the ball and you expect them to sort some magic out. It fascinates me because without that megastar name, they play as a team.
It's massively.
The most together they've looked since when they had Beckham and Ronaldinho and things like that. They just play as a team. It's great to see, and I love how young the team is. It is just so fun to watch. That João Neves, 18 years old, and look at him. He's an absolute baller in the middle of the park. Do you know what I mean? I just think they've every single position they've got best in class. I mean, Hakimi, hands down, has to be the best right back in the world. Give Trent his kudos. Give Trent his kudos. You might throw Frimpong in there now, maybe. Dumfries.
I was actually thinking about the Premier League and Munoz and how good he's been.
No.
But
Hakimi going forward,
is
going
that
back.
Next level. That's what I was just comparing in my mind. Is trying to think if there was any better. I agree. He is the only one I would say is going to get close to him if you put him without injury issues is actually Reece James.
Yes. I'd agree with that.
I think they're the two. It's pure talent and well-roundedness. I'd probably put them two on equal footing.
Yeah.
No one can pass like Trent. Let's not get that mistaken.
No.
And his £1 billion release clause says that, I think. But I would have to agree that everything almost points to PSG winning, but you almost wanted to say Inter Milan because there's just something there, and the team, and this will be our first time we're going to go separate ways on the squad, but I'm going to go with Inter, and I want PSG to win. I really do. I think they deserve it, and I think it would be a great testament to football that they do win. And that's not to say Inter winning wouldn't be a great testament to football, because I think they are also a very good team, well built together, and they had that crack a few years ago against Man City and could have won, didn't win. Man City came out on top. I don't know what it is. I couldn't tell. I have been racking this in my brain since I thought about this question. Who's going to win? Even when the draws were put together, everything points to PSG. But for some reason in my gut, I just feel like it will be Inter. And I could say it there and say it's because of their quality and their incredible players, which is, but this is a Champions League final. Both teams have brilliant players, right? At the end of the day. I don't know why I think it'll be Inter. I can't tell you what it is, but I know it will be Inter.
The reason I was almost gonna go for Inter was because PSG are just a bridesmaid. The Champions League.
Of the
That's
past.
why. That's
I
my
think bridesmaid
reason.
of the
Is
past.
they just but they still haven't won it, so they're still the bridesmaid.
Yeah, but
If they don't win tonight, they're the bridesmaid. They're not the
it's
bride. The bridesmaid.
it's like when Man City got to that final. People always said that about Man City, didn't they?
Yeah, and then they finally won it.
It felt like they had passed their bridesmaid phase. Like even going into the final, it felt all right. They've actually they deserve to be in this final this year. And I think everyone with PSG again sits there now and goes, now that Mbappe's gone in, everyone's seen how good they are. They beat Arsenal, they beat Liverpool, they beat Villa, they won 10-0 in the round of whatever it was, 32 playoffs.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that they deserve to be there. And I think that's what it was with previous years, even when they got to the final against Bayern Munich. I want to say it was.
I think so,
in the COVID season. Everyone thought, they don't really deserve it. They're not really that team, are they?
People don't want PSG to win it because it's the Qatari money. That's what it is, because they see it, they buy success and all that stuff.
I personally feel different about it now.
I do. I never used to like them because I thought they're just buying the way. They bought the league. They dominate the league. They're just buying for the Champions League. They're trying to buy it essentially. But like I say, don't get me wrong. The players that they've brought in, they've spent
a lot,
ton of money on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is a team, and I just think it'd be great to see. Don't get me wrong. It'd be great to see Inter to win it.
I don't mind either, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't mind who wins. I just hope it's a goal fest. I'm hoping for a 3-3, 4-4 absolute masterclass. I don't want to see a 0-0. Nobody wants to see a 0-0.
Yeah, bring back Istanbul. Bring back a game like that. When was the last time we actually had a good final?
The most recent that I can think of, and it was only because it came up today, and I think it was the Europa League final, and I think it was Chelsea versus Arsenal, wasn't it? When Chelsea beat them 4-1 in the Europa League.
Let's go. Yeah, but that's like 4-1. That's still a whitewash. At least there's gold. But I'm trying to think the last time I saw two world-class teams actually going at each other. And I just like.
I mean,
yeah, I throw my mind back to when Real Madrid played Atletico Madrid, and it went to extra time, and then it opened up, and Real Madrid destroyed them in extra time.
But is that not remembered more for was that the Gareth Bale goal where he ran round off the pitch? Was that one? Was it the overhead kick?
I think that overhead kick was against Liverpool. Well, it might have been Ronaldo overhead kick. He done enough of them. I feel like Ramos got a goal, but then like that goes to the point. The memorable moments in Champions League history, even though we can't remember it. But yeah, I remember when Drogba scored that header at the front post against Bayern Munich, and just being depressed because of moments like that, like last minute headers and incredible moments, just it feel like they've sucked out of the Champions League a little bit. I mean, we'll never have Istanbul again. It almost feels like. What do you reckon?
I suppose it depends on the teams. You're talking about the Chelsea one. They were a poor team that season. They dragged themselves to that Champions League final. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. I think that it's how the finals are now. Both teams, regardless of how the attacking prowess they have, they're scared to be hit on the counter attack. They're scared to concede the first goal.
Yeah,
that's just what it seems like. But I think with this final, if the best thing that could happen is, let's say, Inter getting an early goal.
No, PSG.
I don't.
Because Inter will sit.
Yeah, I agree with you. PSG have to get an early goal because then it drags Inter out and it forces them to attack because of how good they are defensively. If they get the first goal, that game I can see ending 1-0. Yeah. And it just being PSG for 90 minutes, let's say 90 minutes, just bombarding them.
Which would also be a real shame because the semi-finals and even the quarter-finals were brilliant games. Every single game is brilliant, and especially that semi-final between PSG and between Inter and Barca. I mean, that is what we want in the final, and I hope they bring that same attitude. It's almost though it's like they get scared, don't they? They get scared. They're worried to lose the game rather than go and win it, and that is kind of an issue in football these Teams are so scared to lose now because of the financial implications and everything really that is behind it. Where is the passion in just wanting to go and win a game? It's all tactical and a game of chess a lot of the time rather than
I have
passion
to
and winning.
say, I am a bit gutted that Barca didn't get to the final. Because could you imagine PSG's front three versus
Oh yeah,
Barca's front
it would
three?
it would have been all out attack.
Because both defenses aren't world
No,
class.
there's mistakes in it.
PSG have the wing backs, but Marquinhos and is it Pacho?
I think Patrick's quite good.
Pacho?
Having watched him against
Yeah.
Liverpool, he's quite good.
But I just think for both teams the attack outshines the rest of the team.
Yeah.
For both of them, and I think that would have been a goal fest.
That was what we
I
wanted,
just
wasn't it?
Yeah, but like I say, I just think with Inter and PSG, if Inter get an early goal, it is going to be one of them 1-0 balls. PSG get the early goal, it's going to be a goal fest, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, we are shortly going to move on to our Premier League award show where we're gonna go through some various awards for the team of the season and so on. But before we get into that, who has been your player of the tournament so far before the final? Because it could change after.
I named him before, and I've watched lyrical about him, about how good he is. He's the best in the world in his position. And I just can't look past him. It's Hakimi for me. Hakimi, for me, he's been absolutely amazing for PSG this season. Going forward, he scores, he creates panic in the defenses. Assist, he can pass a ball. Not as good as Trent, but he can pass a ball. But going back, he's got the legs and the pace to get back. He makes great tackles. He barely fouls them as well. He's the all-round package. For me, he has to be the player of the tournament for me personally. Has to be. I know he's not going to have the stats of, he's not top goal scorer, he's not the top assister, but what he brings to the PSG team, he has to be my player of the tournament.
Yeah, I'm going to go slightly different. I'm going to stick with PSG, but I'm going to go Dembele. And the reason I go Dembele is, yes, he's had the goals and the glory, of course. But I'm going off of what I watched. Mainly in the Liverpool game, obviously in the other games as well, but mainly in that Liverpool game, and he did not stop. He was the most terrifying player I think I've seen in about 2 or 3 years of watching Liverpool play against people. I've not been more scared than him and Kvaratskhelia as well. But when them two got on the ball, it was terrifying. Dembele, I think, just edges it over Kvaratskhelia, plays more minutes. He stays on normally for the whole way. And yeah, the other honourable mention, if he'd made it to the final, I probably would have said him, is Yamal. But we talk fine margins. If he hadn't have shot and hit the post, Barcelona would have been in the final, and we'd probably be talking about him. Or if that shot had gone in, we'd also be saying Yamal maybe. But instead,
for me, I wouldn't have gone for Yamal. For me,
really?
if I had to pick up, if it wasn't going to be Hakimi, it was going to be Rafinha. Because I'm pretty sure he broke Messi's record for European goals in one season, or goal contributions.
It's the only thing I'd say is Rafinha was up here at the start of the season. Yamal was sort of here, and I feel like they've crossed over where Rafinha's dropped off a little bit and Yamal's improved and become more influential in my opinion, especially throughout the knockout. Like Rafinha was incredible in the group stages. But Yamal sort of took it on in the knockout stage, which is much harder, and I think you have to give much more credit to that, especially with the new group stage. I like the new group stage, but I think it's a much harder thing to do. Anyway, shall we move on to the section which you said is the one you're looking forward to the most?
See, now I feel like I'm going to get roasted.
Well, potentially. In my mind, I've got us doing this. We'll both do our goalkeeper nominations and then go through. We'll both do right back, so our three, and we choose our team together.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do?
Goalkeeper, right back, centre back, centre back, left back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through our Premier League team of the season. We have both brought 3 nominees to the table, and we are going to have to discuss and come to an agreement. I think whether we like it or not, we're going to have to come to agreement on our full 11 from our nominees of 6 in total, but some obviously will be the same names, I imagine. Would you like to start off, or would you like me to go with my 3 goalkeepers?
Am I saying all 3 of mine?
You do your 3
of them,
nominations, and then so say you do
Right.
goalkeepers, I'll do right backs. Obviously, we'll both
Okay.
say our goalkeepers,
Yep.
but whoever goes first,
Right. So, I've done them in order of like 1, 2,
3,
3,
2,
as
1.
in
Yeah, go 3, 2, 1.
yeah, well 3, 2, 1. So, my in third place, Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Second, Pickford. First, Bells.
Okay, fair.
Go on, you say yours, and then we can talk.
Yeah. So I went third. I went Raya. I went back to the start of the season, and I just remember making them saves. There was about a month, I think, where anything that seemed to be shot at him, he was just saving. There was the game against Aston Villa where he made that incredible save against Watkins, although Watkins could have just put it either side of the goal. But he still made the save. Then I got Alisson as my second choice. I just think, I know he's missed some of the season, but title-winning goalkeeper, and having been the one who I watch every Liverpool game, so I'm gonna have a bias and have more knowledge on it. But the amount of one-on-one saves, I've never felt that sort of confidence in me when a player runs through one-on-one to think, you know what, I actually back the goalkeeper here more than the striker. I think there's only a few players that I've ever watched and gone, they'll probably score, namely Haaland and Son. Son always seemed to score.
Yeah.
And then number 1, I've gone for Sells. So I think we've got our decision. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, Henderson, I think for Palace, he's just been, especially the second half of the season, he's just been quality for him. Pickford, he's just consistent. And I get the rivalry, but you can't deny he's a brilliant keeper for Everton. He is. He's a brilliant
He has
keeper
his failures, though. He really does have his shortcomings.
No, he does, but he's a very big reason to why they have survived relegation. Not just this season, because don't get me wrong, Moyes as well, but the past like 3-4 seasons, he's absolutely brilliant for him.
I mean, they were never going to get relegated this season. They weren't. And we'll get onto that later.
If they didn't get rid of Dyche, they would have.
Maybe Dyche they would have been in the battle. They certainly would have made it closer, but they weren't going to get rid of Dyche. Dyche was always going to go at that point, wasn't he? If it got that bad, he was going to go. That's just how it is. Right backs. So just to clarify, Sells. I'm guessing
Sells.
Coming from you. Right backs. Third place, I've gone for Trent. I'm past my bitterness towards him now. And I just think honourable mention third place. He's not the one for it, but he's had some great passes, some great moments. Goal against Leicester towards the end of the season, and so on. He's a moments player, Trent, and he has had moments in his campaign. Number 2, Munoz, Palace. I think the thing is everyone's raving about Palace, and rightly so, because they've had a great spell this second half of the season. They had a poor start. But Glasner brought it back together. Munoz, big part of that. The FA Cup probably bumps it up a little bit, but I'm going to take into account other competitions because I do think they should have an impact. I know it's a Premier League team of the season, but still, if you've been a star in the FA Cup, deserves a mention. But number 1, I've gone for Aina. Because I just, out of nowhere. And yeah, okay, look, listen, Forest, they dropped off massively at the end of the season. But in general, for me, I think Aina was the best.
Okay. Right. Well, my 3, I haven't included Aina. Now, I was going to. I just didn't think he was that great for them, to be honest. He was good. He was solid. For me, I went Livramento. Only problem is he got injured. Did
he not play a lot in left back as well?
Yes, but he is a right back, and he did.
He is. He started at right back.
When Trippier went off the boil, he came in and he stayed in the team. The only reason he went over to the left was because of injuries.
Lewis Hall got injured. Yeah.
Yes, but I can't look past. He is naturally a right back, and when he was playing for right back, when Trippier ran out of legs, he was brilliant for them.
Yeah.
And he consistently still played well at left back, but you can only assume he'd still played great in his natural position on the right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Number 2, see, this is where I was like, I might get roasted. I've gone for Wan-Bissaka. I know West Ham didn't know. I know West Ham didn't do well. I know they didn't. But if you had to pick their best player of the season, yeah,
Jarrod
other
Bowen.
than Bowen, no, other than Bowen, which he hasn't had his greatest season by
No,
far.
but he had injuries and stuff as well.
But,
Yeah.
but he has been. He's not put a foot wrong for them as Wan-Bissaka. He hasn't. He just hasn't.
I think
he's
he's
been great.
escaped. I think he's escaped criticism because others have been bad. I'm not going to sit there and say I've watched a lot of West Ham this season. To be honest, I imagine there have been moments where he's been flawed as a right back. Going forward, had some great moments. I'll give you that. But I haven't seen every moment of West Ham. But I can't imagine a right back in that defence.
Defensively, he's one of the best right backs in the league. I think defensively, I don't think he's amazing going forward.
Best
I think
recovery.
defensively, he's one of the best. Yeah, he's one of the best right backs in that position for that. And I mean, our obvious winner is going to be Munoz.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't got Trent because Trent didn't play. He hasn't played all season. Yeah, I don't.
No, he hasn't been. Out, but
he hasn't had his most amazing season, has he? Like he just
I
hasn't.
personally would say
great.
I would personally say that Trent has had a better season than Wan-Bissaka, in my opinion. If you're going to put the two next to each other, and who was your number?
But
3?
if you hadn't, so my third was Livramento. So Munoz, we're going Munoz.
Yeah, I'll go with Munoz. Right, let's discuss them after because I realised last time I spoke all the way through. You go, list your 3, I'll list my 3, then we'll discuss for right centre backs.
Yeah. So it's my turn then.
Yeah.
Right, I couldn't remember which are right centre backs and left centre backs, so I've just done 6 centre backs. Okay, so don't BS me.
All right, if you say them, I'll tell you whether they're right or left.
Right. Okay. So
start towards the bottom.
So my right centre back, I've gone for in third place. I've gone Huijsen.
Yeah, I'd say he's right. Yeah, I've completely forgot about him.
This is where you. I know this.
I forgot all about Huijsen. I forgot all about him. I don't know. He slipped my mind. He slipped my mind completely.
We literally spoke last podcast.
I know.
Being
oh
the
my
best
god!
signing of the season.
Do you know? I was sitting there. I was just like, oh my god. I'll admit, he should be in mine and he's not.
On this one, I'm going to what I've got on my list. I'm going to swap them around because you'll roast me on this one. I'll change it to number 2, Chalobah.
No, you can't change your list. Hang on, you can't change your list.
No, I'm not changing it. I'm just swapping 2 players around because I know one of them's a left centre back, right? Okay.
All right.
So Trevor Chalobah, he was amazing for Palace on loan. Came back to Chelsea and he shored that defence up even more. He did great. He hadn't put a foot wrong. He was great.
They probably need him a bit.
And number 1, I've gone for Murillo.
He's a left centre back.
Right. Well, then instead, here you go. Have Milenkovic then.
That's correct.
There you go. You go.
That's correct. Right. Right. I can't remember this is funny actually. I was stuck on my third, and I wish Hudson had come into my mind. 3 is Konate. I was stuck. I was stuck, and at the end of the day, I think he has played probably about 90% of the games, and you know he's a title-winning team. But there's a reason I didn't put him first or second. I put him third. I couldn't remember who to put him third. Second, I got with Saliba. I don't think it was his best season, but I still think he's too good. He's quality. Like if you pick him, you've got to put him in. If I was going to do anything, I put Hudson second and Saliba third, but I can't do that. My list is my list, and in first I'm going Milenkovic. And I think we're just both going to move on with Milenkovic, aren't we? Because they're just there. I wonder if you'll have the same 3 as me for this left centre back role. Number 3 I've gone Gabriel. Number 2 I've gone Murillo. And number 1 I've gone Van Dijk.
I'm going to figure this out. So mine would be number 3 would be Murillo.
Mm-hmm.
Second, Mark Gahey. And third, VVD.
Palace is hard.
VVD.
It's very hard because I realise we've done this as a right centre back, left centre back. It's very hard when you include 3 backs in, isn't it? Or 5 backs, because I sort of disregard them a little bit.
Yeah.
You're getting your
It's like
hand
that.
held. You're getting your hand held the whole time because
Yeah, it's like that David Luiz at Chelsea. He was the worst defender in the world in a 4-back,
better
but you
five
put
back.
him in a 5 at the back, and he was the best defender in the
Yeah,
world.
and I do think it. Look, you're an incredible player. Still, don't get me wrong. Yeah, he's a brilliant player, and he probably could do a 4-back. But I think at the moment you're in a 5-back, it's cheating. It's cheating. You got an extra person there to help you. If you get skinned in a 5-back, there's a very good chance that the fullback and the centre back are gonna slim that guy off.
I agree with you. Like I say, I think it's just more recency
So
bias.
how does Murillo go from first on right centre backs to third on left centre backs?
Because I had. VVD. I had Virgil. I had second as a right centre back, but then realised he was a left centre back.
You think
so
Milenkovic had a
I had
better
to move
season
him
than Van
over.
Dijk?
Well, no, because I originally had Murillo, and I thought
You-
Murillo had the better season. I think
Hang
Murillo
on, that
had
don't
the better
track.
season of both Morris centre backs.
So hang on.
I had to swap them.
If you had to pick number one centre back this season, it wouldn't be Van Dijk.
No,
That's wrong.
I don't think he's been. No, because that's Liverpool winning the title bias.
No,
I don't think he's had an
been back at his
amazing season.
best. He's been back at
he
his
hasn't.
best.
He hasn't. The rest of the league has been shocking.
No,
The
that's
rest
not
of the league has been
true.
shocking.
That's
It
not true.
is.
The league has improved that much that other teams struggle.
No.
It has.
No.
It has. The
No.
league has improved. Why do you think the Champions League race is so much better? How anyone can beat anyone in the league because the worst teams.
No,
it's
I
not the better
agree with
teams
that.
being worse. It's the worst teams being better.
No. Are Man City better this season?
No, Man City. All right, I will agree. Man City have dropped off, and Arsenal.
Arsenal
in my
have had
opinion,
many injuries.
The funny thing with Arsenal as well is, if they hadn't quit the league in that couple of week period when they were trying to just win the Champions League, they would have probably ended up not too far off. They would have not been too far off of their point tally from last season.
The problem with Arsenal was if they'd have bought a striker
there's
in
that as well.
January, they'd have challenged you, but they didn't.
There is that as well.
Chelsea, better? You tell me, are
Chelsea are
Chelsea
better than they were last year.
No, I'm talking about 3-4 seasons ago. So
Chelsea
we're talking under Abramovich. You're saying they're better than they were then.
Chelsea are a more dangerous team than they have been in the last 3 seasons.
Going forward, maybe, but defensively not. They're woeful.
Yeah, but we're talking about centre backs.
Right?
We're talking about centre backs here. So going forward, they're more dangerous.
No, because the argument is about you're saying that the league, all the teams in the league have got better.
They have.
Newcastle,
Not all. No, all right, not all.
Some of them have, but we
can't go forward. Also, you can't go 4 years back because that's not fair. You got to compare it to last season, right?
Right, fine. Spurs and Man United, have they had worse seasons than last season?
Man U's about on par, I'd say. I think Man U just crap.
Come on, they've had worse seasons. City's had a worse season. Arsenal struggled for injuries. All they really needed was a striker in January.
All right, but every other team, other than Villa, in my opinion, has improved. I'm disregarding the relegation.
Look at the previous winning points of the league.
No, yeah, there's been a drop-off from the top teams, and Liverpool have capitalised that. Right place, right time. Completely agree. I would also like to add, that Liverpool went on vacation with 5 games left to go. But
exactly.
But and that point tally, if someone was pushing us the whole way, I believe that we would have probably gone and won 4 out of the last 5 games, for example. And if someone was pushing us that whole way, that would have happened. But they didn't have to worry about that. If you look at every single team by the Premier League, I think more have improved than have decreased in their ability. And there is, and by that I actually mean, if you pick out a random team out of the hat to play another one, there is if that team that's pulled out is Man City, for example, or Arsenal or Liverpool as team 1, team 2, there's a lot of chance that team on an off day could beat them. Look at Bournemouth.
I get that. It's
Brentford.
What happens on the day. I totally get that.
And they are better on the day. They have improved on the day. It's their consistency that lets them down.
Listen. Let's get back to it, yeah?
Okay.
I'm not saying that Milenkovic was hands down by far better than Van Dijk this season. I am saying purely that you look at where Forest finished last season. They brought in Milenkovic, and look at what they've done this season. I'm not saying it's just down to him, but look at what they've achieved.
I actually think
I know you guys didn't have a great season last season, but it's not all that. Yeah, but it's not all down to Van Dijk. Van Dijk's levels are up here. Liverpool and Van Dijk are up here. Forest were down here. They had this season with Milenkovic being there.
They finished 7th. Let's not forget that. They finished 7th.
Right, listen.
They finished 7th.
Where did they finish last season? 17th? Just above relegation, was it?
Yeah, but I agree. But
I will give you on the team. I will give you Van Dijk.
Well, it's Milenkovic and Van Dijk. It's Milenkovic and Van Dijk anyway. But
can we agree that they are the two best centre backs?
They have been the best two.
Yeah.
Is that Florian Wirtz behind you?
Right.
Oh, it's changed. I feel like it was Wirtz on the screen.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
We'll talk about that in a bit. Right. Anyway, left back, is it me? No, it's you. You did right centre back. Left back is you.
Right. Okay.
Just list the phrase. Then we'll get into it.
This is another one, right? So third, I've gone for Dan Burn.
He's centre back. He hasn't played left back this year.
He plays left back as well.
He hasn't played left back this year. Well. No, he hasn't.
Yes,
no, he hasn't. Yes, Nowhere near as much. No, we literally talked about it was Lewis Hall, and then we literally talked about it being Livramento.
Right, I'll put Livramento in there then. Right, okay, right.
Put Lewis Hall. You can have Lewis Hall. I'll give you Lewis Hall.
He's not played.
Because he got injured. You can't have Dan Burn, and you've already got Livramento in right back.
Right, fine. Chilwell.
Fine. Chilwell. Have Chilwell. Have your fucking Chilwell.
Right, so second, I've gone for Robinson.
Yep, fair.
And first, Cucurella. He eats paella.
Are you joking?
Nope.
Right, I'll tell you the actual three. I will admit Cucurella could be an honourable mention, but in third I've gone for Gvardiol. Second I've gone Robinson, and first is Kirkes.
See, I was gonna go Kirkes.
Not even in your top three.
He was close. He was either him or Dan Burn. Realistically.
All right. Well, I'll put it on the opposite. For me, it was him or Robinson for number one. And I thought Kirkes' level had been more consistently good this season than Robinson. And then the reason I went Gvardiol was third. Look, City have had a bad season, but it hasn't been bad the whole way. They had a very good start until Rodri got injured. Then it got really hazy in the middle, and then they had a very good end, in my opinion. And I think Gvardiol was the one consistent factor throughout the majority of that in the defence. I think obviously there was a lot of issues with City, but I think a lot of their issues actually came from right back and the midfield. Kyle Walker's demise and Rodri going out, and Gvardiol. Look, I don't think it wasn't his best season, but I think he's still pretty good. But I could succeed that Cucurella could come in. I could say
I couldn't. I can't put a single City player in for any of these. I don't have a single one.
Third.
I don't have a single one in there. Yes, but it's you can't be up here and then have a season like that and expect to have any of the players.
One player can.
Who else?
I mean, he's Gvardiol. He's the only one. I'll spoil it now. I've got two. I've got two City players in. Gvardiol's one of them because he did have a good season. You know, the team was a letdown, but I think Gvardiol was consistent.
Cucurella's had a bad season.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'd happily say Cucurella could come in, but I wouldn't sit there and be so harsh on Gvardiol to say he's had a bad season. City have had a bad season by their own standards, but I don't think Gvardiol has. I think it's very harsh. I'm trying to think of another example, but
he might not have had a bad season, but he hasn't had a good season.
A perfect example would be saying I'm not going to put Cole Palmer in my nominations from last year because Chelsea finished 7th or 8th, wherever they finished.
No, I get that because Cole Palmer carried them to that anyway. Yeah, but that's
a good season in a bad team, and I think Gvardiol, to an extent, I just think it's City's high standards. I don't want it to taint their players too heavily.
I don't think he had a good season. I just don't think he had a bad season. He just had a meh season. I think this has been the best season that Cucurella's had for Chelsea. I think he's been the best left back in the league this season. I really do.
I will not give it to Cucurella. I will not give it to him.
I mean, by the looks
But
of
you
it,
can't give it
Robinson,
Kirkers.
'cause
We've
I
got to
did
give it
second.
Robertson. Like on the point system, we're both giving him second.
You wish it was Kirkers, seeing as though he's
I
going to be joining you anyway.
well, I don't know that because there's nothing come through about that one. That's the one that's scaring me the most. That might not happen, and we really
No,
need a left back.
I
think
was-
it's just
I-
on
I've
back.
seen
I think it's
something.
just on side burners, and everyone's focused on words. But I think he is coming. He better be.
Yeah.
Um,
He's one of the
20
personal
years
terms
old,
are
by the
agreed,
way.
isn't he?
No, personal terms are all done. It's all about the club deals and other. I mean, 10 million from
Right.
Trent's got to go straight into him. Anyway, CDM, is it me? Yeah, it's me.
Yes, yeah.
So, the one thing I'm going to say just before this is Newcastle midfield, by the way, incredible this season. I have put one of them as a CDM. I do believe they kind of just play a flat three.
I've
put one
also
as a
done.
CDM.
I've also done
Okay,
that. I've
okay.
also done that.
So, Bruno G, Caicedo, and Gravenberch. Now, you might say Tonali as your one. You might. I think they're so interchangeable. Either two of them make sense.
That's what I
I
struggled
tell you
with.
what. I'm going to keep mine the same way because I put because of where I've ranked them. But yeah, Bruno G, Caicedo, Gravenberch, in my opinion.
Right, I've gone, and you're not gonna like this. I went Tonali, Gravenberch, Caicedo.
I don't hate it because I know everyone says it.
It was very tight. It was very
They're
tight.
so-
Like I said,
mean-
Gravenberch has had an absolutely amazing season. It's probably his best season he's ever had as a player. But Caicedo also has this. He's been his best season ever as a player. I think even better than when he was at Brighton.
Yeah, I think
So it was very tight to pick between the two for me.
I think the issue is everyone goes on about Caicedo. At the end of the day, Chelsea had a big drop off, and they recovered it. But they did. The Chelsea went from skyrocketing up. People were starting to talk about them challenging for the title, and then it came to a point where they ain't gonna get Champions League. And yes, they recovered it to being one of the getting into fourth. But bear in mind, only just. But yes, Caicedo was very good throughout the season, but. For me, I mean, yeah, it's okay. That red tinted glasses. I will be the first to admit that I'm gonna have red tinted glasses. I'm a Liverpool fan, but Gravenberch, if he didn't perform how he did throughout the season, if it had been someone else, even 10% worse, I don't know if we would have won the title because his transition play is what drove us forward. I think.
How much did Gravenberch cost?
20 or 30.
If Caicedo cost between 20 and 30 million, would he be looked at differently? Does his price tag have something to do with?
For me now.
Well, he cost 100 mil, so he
I think
should be paying like good
I think it did it last year, absolutely. But I think now, I always think price tags almost get forgotten after a year. Like, all right, the first year, everyone's so focused on that price tag, right? But then after the second year, when they actually start just performing, they just go, oh, he's just good. You know, when they're underperforming, the price tag's an issue. As soon as they score goals or play well, price tag's not an issue anymore. That you paid what you paid for him, you've got a good player. Look at Nunes is a prime example of that. Price tag, massive issues still. 85 million spent for Darwin Nunes, who just hasn't worked out for multiple reasons, and it gets brought up still. Whereas Caicedo last year at the start, he was a joke, and everyone was taking a mick out of him, weren't they? But as he improved towards the end of the season, people went, oh, that price tag kind of makes sense when he plays like this. And in this season, he's continued that end of season form. So no, I personally don't think price tag has. Doesn't affect my view. If anything, I'm setting my views affected by red tinted glasses. But one team, you know, won the Premier League with a DM like that, and the other one won the third tier in Europe.
I think you should give me this one because I think centre mid you'll quite easily take. So I think you should give me Caicedo, and I think centre mid you'll take.
I disagree.
I'll
tell you this now. I haven't got McAllister as number one.
I'd have McAllister in my top three.
Well, there you go. So you're giving me Gravenberch then.
Right, you can have Gravenberch.
Because if you're not even naming McAllister, that is crazy.
I mean, I was going to say, can we take the Newcastle, but you went Bruno G and I went Tonali, so I couldn't even say the Newcastle player.
Because of where I've put Tonali, you'll see. Yeah. But go on, you go for your midfield three.
Right, so I've gone Bruno G.
Okay, that's fine.
I've gone Declan. Big Deckers.
Yeah, I forgot about him.
I was
Not
going to put him at
forgot,
CDM,
but I
but
pushed
then
him away.
I was going to put CDM for him, but then they pushed him up, didn't they? He kind of
Yeah,
that more
but this is
attacking
where it's like
midfielder.
the Livramento thing. If he had half a season doing both, can he be the best player of the season in that position?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah,
I get
carry
that.
on.
But- And then, and this is you're not gonna like it, but I went Enzo.
I almost put him in. I put someone else in.
It's, I didn't see. I couldn't think. There was no one. Like I said, no one from City I could put in. McAllister, I didn't think was
Or
an.
you
It's
should watch
an
Liverpool when
amazing.
Curtis Jones is in instead. Then you'd see it.
But go on yours. You
All
say
right.
yours now.
So third, I went a bit rogue, but I think you'll respect it. T Elements.
I was struggling to go between him and Bruno, but Bruno,
Yeah.
I just had to go Bruno.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, but nice little rogue one there. McAllister is my number 2, and my number 1 I went with Tonali. I think he's been the driving force for Newcastle. Really has. Newcastle's start to the season without Tonali, by the way, when he was kind of getting back into it and wasn't fully in the team, was really poor. If you look at it, I think they were down in 12th, 11th for a little while in the season. Then they were around 9th and stuck there. As soon as Tonali came in, that midfield changed. That, in my opinion, I would argue it only works with them three, and maybe it's not the best in depth and all over midfield, but as a three, Tonali, Bruno G, and Joe Linton are the best midfield three in the Premier League right now. They are the scariest. They cover probably the most ground, I'd imagine, out of the top teams. Yeah. They dominate everyone they play against, and I think Tonali was the big change in that. So, yeah, that's what he's my number one. Which is funny. This is the first one we've had where we haven't had a single player the same.
We don't have a single player the same now.
Obviously, Tonali was in your CDMs.
Yeah, and like we said, you could quite easily rotate either one of them. So, I mean, I've got Enzo and I've got Rice. I'd be quite happy to go with either your Tonali or my Bruno G for that.
Tonali,
because, like we said, we had both players in our top three, but it was the case of
position-wise.
The position-wise, they rotate so well.
Let's do it this way.
So it was,
who do you think has been better for Newcastle, Tonali or Bruno G? I personally go Tonali. I think Bruno G more hits the passion side of Newcastle, but the actual better.
You know what is? For me, I'd still go Bruno because, like you said,
I'll give you Bruno. I'll give you him.
Tonali came in. Tonali had to come in slower, didn't he? Like you say, he had his fitness because he had the year off, and so he wasn't straight in. Whereas Bruno did. Yeah.
I'll give you Bruno G. Though.
I'll give it. I think Bruno.
I'll give you him. Right, attacking mid. Is it me? Yeah, it's me, isn't it?
It is.
Number 3, I've gone Gibbs White. Number 2, I've gone Bruno Fernandes. And number 1, I've gone Cole Palmer.
I forgot about Gibbs White.
That's fair. It's kind of on the fringe.
So, mine, I've gone. Wait. For mine, I have gone Bruno Fernandes, Cole Palmer, and this one, you're gonna roast me with this one because I spoke. No, what are you frowning about?
I'm shocked at Cole Palmer being not number 1. Look, I know he had a drop off, but there's not many actual cams attacking mids in the game these days. Go on, who's
this
your number 1?
This is where I think.
Who's your number 1?
If you looked, I asked Jake about this, and he said I can and I could. I've gone for Cunha.
Fuck off! He's a left winger.
He's not a number 9. He's not a number 9.
He's a left winger.
No, he's not.
He does. He plays that left forward role. No,
he plays as a cam as well.
No, he's a drifting left forward.
No,
No. Cunha is not a cam.
Yes, he is.
And even still, he's not been better than Cole Palmer.
Let's go by EA, and he's a cam.
He's not.
He got informs on there as a cam.
He's not better than Cole Palmer. He's not better than Palmer anyway.
Palmer has been shocking since January.
No,
What has Palmer
no,
done
it's
since
been
January?
unlucky. He's actually just been
not
unlucky.
done
I mean,
much
if you
at
watched
all.
him, the amount of second assists that he gets, the brilliant passes that he does, every intricate bit of play, it's not his fault that he's got a donkey and Nicholas Jackson in front of him that can't score.
Can we just say Nicholas Jackson in the Conference League final? No, the one where all he had to do was take that touch.
Oh my god, that was even
and he
worse.
took another touch and it just rolled
kicked it back
into
to
the house.
Adrian. By the way, Adrian was the goalkeeper, the one who played for West Ham and Liverpool.
Yeah, it was, wasn't he?
But
right.
it's so harsh on Palmer.
Fine.
Listen, his goals definitely went down.
I was his biggest admirer last season. I thought he was amazing.
And this season, he scored 4 goals in a half. His first half of the season form is probably good enough to win it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that was his first half of the season was better than Cunha's whole season.
Oh no! Better, good enough to win the award in general. Secondly, if I was going to go for a most consistent person, I'd go with Bruno Fernandes because he tried his all throughout the whole way. But it's almost like that disabled team, so you're being a bit generous to him. And thirdly, right, Cunha, and Wolves fans will back me on this because there was a big disliking to him in Wolves because their most important period of the season, he got himself suspended for. He has a shit attitude, which he's going to bring over to United. He missed the games against Ipswich, Leicester, and other teams that were all around him. He's lucky that Strand Larsen and Aït-Nouri stepped up and filled his boots when he was gone because he got himself suspended for having a fight off the pitch with a random coaching member.
Blame Jake. I'll blame Jake because he said.
Just you wait till Jake's here next week. I can bring this up.
Fair, I did say I forgot about Gibbs White, and personally, I'd have probably put Gibbs White.
What as number 1?
Yes.
Oh my god.
No, it's again. I know I'm one of Palmer's biggest fans. This second half of the season, he hasn't done anything. I can't.
Gibbs White meant missing as well. That's how they ended up in 7th. And there's a reason Chelsea got 4th.
No, but you can't just go by the positions. Otherwise, it'd just be Liverpool, City, Newcastle, Chelsea.
No. But I disagree because so far we put in Sells. I'm at Aina as my top pick for right back. Milenkovic, Murillo. I've got a Forest player recommended in each position almost, but they actually finished 7th. And I think you look at it and you go, because they're Forest, these players should be there. But the reason that these teams who win the Premier League and get Champions League are better is because they have the better players who perform better. It's just because there's the shock factor that, oh my God, Gibbs White actually can kick a football, you know?
Not just the rest of the usual big players being crap this season.
Not all of them. I've still got other people on my list.
We are not going down that rabbit hole.
Okay, right wing, you're up. These I think pick themselves. The order might change.
Oh, do they?
I think so.
You think I've got number 1 as your number 1?
Yes, because if you don't, then you avoid the podcast because he's the player of the season.
So number 3, I've gone for Jacob Murphy.
Okay, we've got a different list, but I accept that shout.
Yeah. This one, it was tricky to pick. I'm pretty sure he does play right wing, but I know
he's
he
right
plays
wing
as well.
Oh, yeah, go on.
I've gone Mbeumo.
Yeah, he's right wing. He's right wing.
Right wing, yeah.
Yeah.
And then obviously Mo.
Yeah.
Big Mo.
Yeah. The only difference I've gone. I've kind of written this in the wrong order, so I'm just going to correct it in my head. Saka 3rd. I know he missed part of the season. I know he missed a big part of the season, but in his actual ability when he played, unbelievable talent.
He was between him and Murphy.
Yeah, so that's why I don't mind Murphy again, and then Mbeumo Salah is the other two. I mean, we don't really need to talk about it too much. Salah is the player of the season. Yes, okay, he dropped off the last 8 games a little bit, but he got a contract, so who can blame him?
He had 8 games to do the 2020.
Yeah, and I have an issue with people taking a piss out of him for this. He cannot be blamed for not getting an assist. He set up.
No one's blaming him. We're blaming the rest of the players.
Yeah, this is. If I was Mo Salah, I would be so pissed off at Luis Diaz, Darwin Núñez, and Diego Jota and Cody Gakpo. I mean, Luis Diaz, the worst one was when Salah literally tapped it to him, and he had that one-on-one against Arsenal, and he just couldn't even he kicked it straight up right. Yeah. It's just do you know what? When I saw that, I went, he's not going to get the 2020. It's not going to happen. But he still did get the joint most goal contributions. And actually, to be honest, it's better because he done it in a 38, not a 42.
Are we doing left wing and then striker? Are we?
I'll let you pick it. No, let's do striker. I'll do striker. We'll do striker then left wing. We'll do striker then left wing. I think left wing's an interesting one because there's a lot of contention around that.
There is. Yeah. Okay. Go on
then. Striker. Haaland in number 3. Because look at that look on your face. People forget how good he was at the start of the season. He got 22 goals.
Haaland. Yeah, but I love Haaland. He's Leeds born and bred. I love him.
But I'm going third. Look, I'm going third. Like third is Haaland. I'm not putting him in at first or second, but his start of the season was incredible. Second Wissa, first Isak.
First who?
Isak. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I went, and I'm really surprised that you didn't put this in, but I went Mateta.
Oh yeah, Mateta. Haaland had a better season than Mateta. I'm sorry.
See, no, Haaland would have been in there. He's scored 22 goals, but he's been gone for like 4 months, and I don't think he's been his best season at all.
Mateta did this
again. No, I get that, but I think he's had a better season.
I think it's just a recency bias because Mateta had a great end to the season.
Oh, probably
whereas Haaland had a great start, and
this is one that I have an issue that you don't have in though. Chris Wood.
Well, who are you taking out?
Well, I've got Mateta, Chris Wood, and Isak.
Wissa got like 19 goals.
But I've got Wissa as a left wing.
No, you said Mbeumo.
No, Mbeumo as a right wing.
Oh, no, Wissa's a striker.
He's a striker left wing. He can play. He plays both.
I'm pretty sure he's played striker all season.
He plays both. Yeah, but Mbeumo's played striker parts at points as well.
I'll leave it down to the comments on that one. I personally think that he's played striker most of the season. I'm not going to say he can't do a job out of left wing, but I think that he's a striker. He's a striker. Cunha's a left winger.
No, because do you know what? I'm going off because I haven't watched much of Brentford this season. And what was Brentford's front 3 last season?
Yeah, one of them's in Saudi Arabia.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I haven't watched.
I tell you who plays left wing
this season. So when I play,
Shard plays left wing.
He does. Yes, he does. So you might be right. But I was going off last season. From what I can remember, the front 3 was Mbeumo, Tony, and Wissa on the left, wasn't it? So he was a left winger, right?
He did play left wing, yes.
Yes, so that's what I was going off. I totally forgot about Shard.
Sorry, I should have clarified at the start of this. This is the 24-25 Premier League team. This is not a 23-24.
No, I knew that. I know Tony doesn't play for Brentford. I was just thinking, I swear, I thought Shard played striker for some reason. Oh, right, God. Moving swiftly on to left wing, I have Elanga. Morgan Rogers. And Wissa.
So Morgan Rogers, I wanted to put Morgan Rogers in, but I didn't know if he played enough down the left.
He got, I think, when Rashford came in, he moved a bit more central.
And that's the only reason I didn't do it, because I was like, I couldn't actually tell you where he played. I couldn't remember if he played right, and I couldn't remember if he played left, and I couldn't remember if he played central.
It looked like he doesn't have a set position. Like he was almost given that free roam role that some players do get given. But it's when I watched them, it seemed like before Rashford came in, he was coming in off the left. But when Rashford came in, he wasn't central. It seemed like he sat just off behind Ollie Watkins and just to the left hand side a little bit.
Yeah.
He was just behind him,
almost like Cunha did.
Shadow strike.
Kind of like Cunha did, yeah.
Yes. Just like him, yes.
Okay. Right, my 3, I've gone with Semenyo, Cunha, and Eze. I went with Eze in the end.
No, I forgot about Eze. No, I want to put him in as a left winger.
Oh shit! Do you know what? We didn't even talk. Did we both, by the way, agree that Isak's the striker?
Yes, I mean it's kind of obvious.
Yeah. I just it went over my head. Yeah, I went Eze as my third, as my number 1.
I wouldn't have put him as a left wing. I'd have put him as a cam. Personally.
No, I think, well, if you look at Palace, they play a 3-4-3, basically.
Yeah, they do.
So,
But it feels like when you watch them, it feels like they don't.
they're
use
very
him
tucked
on the
in.
left
They're
wing.
very tucked in.
Like
But
like
Sarr and Eze.
it's almost
It's,
like
it's almost like a
it's almost as if
3-2-5.
two cams.
It's like a
Yeah, it's almost as
3-2-5.
if they have
Two
two
cams,
cams
and then
kind of
the
thing, don't they?
right and left go really high up. But,
Yeah.
But in my mind, it's a left wing still because he's just an inside forward almost. Yeah.
So we don't have a single player the same on that.
No, because you've got players in the wrong position.
No, I don't.
You've got a striker as your number 1. You've got an attacking mid as your number 2. Who is your number 3?
Anthony Alanga.
At least he's in the right position. Did he play on the right? And Hudson
No, it was
or is it the other way around?
other way around. I swear. I don't know actually. Now you've got me confused.
I think
I'm
Hudson
thinking
Odoi plays down the left. I'm just throwing myself back to when they scored against Liverpool. Hudson Odoi was down.
It says he's a wide man. Sound.
Hang on, let me go on football and look at his last position.
Right winger. Okay, yeah, he's a right winger. So that other player in the correct position on there. Sounds good.
So do I?
No, to be fair,
should we just go with Eze?
the only one I can put forward is Morgan Rogers because he does play it on the left-hand side-ish of Ollie Watkins. I'll let you take this one.
Should we give it Eze? Should we give it Eze?
Yeah, I think Eze deserves it, to be honest. If, again, I'd have
Hang
probably
on, wait.
Eze.
Actually, hang on. Eze or Cunha? Who, in your opinion, I'll let you choose because
it's hard because
they both
think Eze's
actually
got
almost
more
have the exact
goals.
same role. But Eze's also involvements, I think, more at FA Cup based.
I think Eze's scored more important goals as well.
I would much rather go for Eze. I think he's a better player than Cunha as well.
Yeah, go Eze.
All right, so our combined team of the season for the Premier League in the correct positions is Sells in goal, Munoz right back, Milenkovic and Van Dijk, Robinson in left back, Gravenberch, Bruno G, and did we go with Palmer in the end?
Palmer, yeah.
Palmer, Salah, Isak, and Eze. That's our team. Imagine if we tried that with a third person. Christ alive, all fourth.
Yep. But we need a manager.
Oh yes.
To manage these absolute studs, these stars, these amazing beings.
Have you picked 3 assistant managers just out of interest? You know, because you can't seem to get it right.
I don't like that tone. I don't like my list because of who I've got as number 1.
Go on, pick your 3. No, I did left wing. Oh, is it me? Okay. All right, number 3, I've gone with Maresca.
Really?
Yeah, I was struggling for number 3. I was tempted to put in Moyes, but he only did half a season. I was also tempted to go for the Wolves bloke, whose name slipped my mind because he did a good recovery. But I thought it's not Arteta, and the other.
It's not Pep.
And it's not Pep. And,
oh crap! I've missed one.
Oh
no.
So I went with Maresca. I thought, you know what, Chelsea, where did they finish last season? Like 8th. And I thought once they sacked Poch, I thought that was a big mistake. But he's done pretty well. So I went for that, although he did have a drop off. Number 2, I went with Nuno. And number 1, I went with Slot, of course. I mean, it's Slot. But carry on, give your list.
I went Nuno number 3. Obvious reasons.
Bit of a drop off. Let him down, didn't it?
Yeah. Number 2, I have gone for David Moyes. I said earlier. No, I said you frown all you want.
No, I think it's fair. I just the only reason I didn't include him as number 3 is because he just did a bit of a season.
I said earlier he saved them. He saved them from the battle. They may not be relegated.
I think another manager also might have done the job. Just I think he probably done it the best that anyone could.
Yeah, but if whatever that other manager was, if they'd have done the same thing, they'd have gone second anyway. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, my number 1, it has to be Slot. Yeah. He's come in.
So who are you saying?
Chiesa in, was it?
Eddie Howe?
Eddie Howe.
Yeah,
I, just,
he's on
I know
there.
he's done it previously, but to get up there, I know even losing on the final day, and they had
Getting
to beat
lucky.
Man United, just getting Champions League. But I think he's still done a great job.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
really do think he's
Won a
done a great
trophy.
job. Like
A trophy.
Newcastle is. I feel like Newcastle's. I enjoy watching them. It's a big fixture now. You look at Liverpool, the Liverpool fixture, and you think, "Oh crap, we've got Newcastle on there.
Oh yeah,
It's going to
hard
be
game.
great." But you can't
Hard
wait
game.
to watch it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
really you look forward to watching it. They're really fun to watch.
Yeah,
And
agree.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I'd have to ask.
I think the only reason I didn't cover Eddie Howe, it's not his fault, but I don't think he should have had Champions League football. Going back to at the start, I really don't think they deserve it.
Should have gone Jason Tyndall.
Yeah, what a prick. Go. Jason Tyndall or the Arsenal set piece coach? Who would you rather punch in the face?
Oh, Jason Tyndall all day.
Do you reckon?
I love Jason Tyndall. I think he's ace. I love him.
But that Arsenal set piece coach, fucking hell, God. Just standing out there every time next to Arteta, thinking he's the dodge ball.
But he didn't. Where did he go when they
No,
kept
but
conceding
Arteta
him and
fucking
didn't do
told.
anything?
Yeah, but Arteta told him off as well. He told him to sit the fuck down at one point. I remember it was when they were like drawing a game and he celebrated scoring. I said, "Just sit down. You're a set piece coach. Know your fucking place." Ridiculous. Yeah, all right. Look, he's earned his dollar. He's a great set piece coach, but he can't. He ain't very good at the defensive side of it either, is he? Like you say,
Well,
he's terrible. At
He was great in the first half of the season, but then what did he do in the second half of the season? Didn't do anything.
Anyway, yeah, exactly. They dropped off. Didn't Everton score more in the end?
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think they were certainly equal when they played against Liverpool the second time round. I wonder if they got more in the end. Anyway, one more thing to end it off here. We've called this podcast "The Squad Saves Football," and the reason that we've done that is because football needs saving. And I think the biggest issue that we've had in the last 2 seasons is competitiveness dying down. You've got 3 up, 3 down, 2 years in a row, and we looked at it last week, and it looks like it could be 3 up, 3 down again. So we are both coming up with different fixes. We've got different ones because I know what Jamie's is roughly. He doesn't know what mine is, so I'm going to go... Which one me to go, first or second?
I will go first.
Go on then. Shoot away, Jamie.
So, I don't see, in realistic terms, what much you could really change without having to change the whole fibre of the league and things like that. But the point I'm going to go with is PSR.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the money man.
It needs to change because I don't know the exact figures, but teams coming up the first season, they're allowed maximum losses of something like 40 million for the first season, right? And then if you survive that, your second season it's 60 million. Survive that, then you've got the whole 105 million. But why? How can you be coming up with a championship squad and only be allowed losses of 40 million? If you've got the money to spend, let the teams spend it. There is no reason not to let them. It's really unfair. If they don't change that, it's just going to be continue. It really is. When you've got teams like Man United in the debt that they've got, and they're able to just spend
65.5 million on Cunha, for example. I mean, if anything, it should go the other way, should it not? I mean, I'm not saying that the top teams should be limited on spending, because that also reduces competitiveness in Europe. But if anything, the lower teams should have more of an allowance of loss.
Well, that's what I say.
Rather than the other way around. But I get they don't want bankruptcy. That's the fear, right? They don't want a Derby situation, for example, right?
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this, it sounds terrible. At the end of the day, if Derby fail, another team will come up. Another team will replace them. You've got the likes of Birmingham City. They've had recent investment. Wrexham, recent investment. Even Salford, have investment coming in. Other teams will replace these teams.
This is the thing, though. If you have the money, you're going to spend it. If you don't have money, you're not going to spend it. If Derby got promoted and they know that they've got a realistic chance of being relegated, they're not going to spend 150, 160, 170 million.
Like Ipswich did.
Whereas, for example, Leeds, we're backed by the 49ers. We've got the Red Bull on board. We've got a pot of, I think, 200 million to spend. Now, we can spend that, but we also have to sell some players to comply with PSR and all that stuff. And it's like, we have a financial backing of billionaires. Let us spend it. We're not going to go bankrupt. Do you know what I mean? Like, Sunderland, they'd be able to spend an absolute ton and not go bankrupt. But if teams can't afford to spend it and fear that they'll go bankrupt, don't spend it. Just it goes for the whole league. Let the whole league spend what they have.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, do I think there should maybe be limiting factors? Yes, and I understand the reason behind it because, you know, if every season City are going to go splash 100 million on 5 different players each, it's going to be unfair.
No, I get that.
But
do what La Liga did. Wage cap.
Yeah. I mean, that's anti-competitive in its own way, but they seem to be doing fine at Real Madrid getting players in.
Spend what you want, but have a wage cap.
Yeah, seems fair.
You want that player, spend 200 million on him, but you can only pay him 100 grand a week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the best way to do it. It is the best way to do it.
I think, mine's a little bit less technical my way. It's a bit more direct and a little bit more interesting. I think it's also more fun for the spectator as well. My proposition, and I feel like they used to do this in some of the football leagues, is a relegation playoff. So rather than...
They still do.
Yeah. But bring it to the Premier League. I don't know why they don't have it in. Rather than just set 18th, 19th, 20th go down, 17th and 18th have a playoff. Because realistically, if you're finishing in 17th place, you've got a good chance that you might lose to 18th. On a one-off game especially. Now, this doesn't save every single team that come up, and I don't think every team should be saved. It shouldn't be 3 up, stay up. It should be 3 up, maybe 1 goes down, maybe 2 goes down. You know, that is how the Premier League has always sort of been, really. You know, it's very rare that all 3 would stay up. I don't know if there's ever been a time where all 3 have stayed up.
There has been, talking probably about 6-7 years ago.
Yeah. Maybe the years when Southampton came up, something around that time.
It might have been the season where did Fulham, Bournemouth, and Brighton come up at the same time, or something like that. It'd have been a random season like that.
And Fulham were obviously one team that was expected to never go down, and so on, you know. But I think, say for example, this season is kind of a harder one. Last season might have been better, but Tottenham versus Ipswich. I wouldn't have said Tottenham are nailed on to beat Ipswich. I really wouldn't have. And it could have been the same way. Or even if Tottenham had won, there would have been Tottenham Wolves. Ipswich Wolves. Now that could have gone either way. And because I do believe on a one-off game, these relegated teams, just like the playoff final, no one really backs Sunderland to go up, but they won it and they came up. So the same thing could happen in a relegation playoff, and I think it just bring that extra spark in. And there's jeopardy as well. You know, you come to 16th, 17th, you've got that risk, and I just think personally it doesn't rock the boat massively. It gives that promoted team an extra chance because if you're going to finish in the bottom 3, also if you're battling between 19th and if you both know the highest I can get is 18th, but there's actually still a battle between 19th and 18th because there's a chance you can stay up. Whereas Ipswich, Leicester, and that, they threw in a towel, but they wouldn't have, would they? They would have kept going till the very end if they knew there was a chance that they could get in that relegation playoff. So that's my fix. I think that would be fun.
It's a good idea. I
think it'd be fun. But yeah.
Well, it's weird because they do it in the Welsh League. Yeah. They do it in Scottish leagues.
I'm sure they did it in the League 1 and League 2 or something like that at one point.
No, no.
Or was it Nationals and Conference?
No, they don't.
I feel like they've done it. Well, I don't know if they do it now, but I feel like I'm sure I saw it. It used to be a thing.
Can't remember if they do it in non-league, but I know they do it in Scotland, and all the leagues in Scotland, they do it in the Welsh leagues. I don't know if they do it in the Irish leagues, in the Northern Irish League, but I know Wales, they definitely do it, and Scotland, they definitely do it, and they do it in a couple of European leagues as well. But yeah, it's a good idea. I mean,
yeah.
I don't see it going anywhere other than if PSR sort that out.
Yeah, I mean, look, PSR is a much more technical way of doing it. I think this is more of a spectator way in my mind. A bit of fun. It would have been brilliant. Who came 17th last year in the Premier League? I can't even think.
It was.
Or imagine that season when Leeds went down, and imagine if you'd had one more chance on the final. Yes, okay, it might take away from the final day slightly, but at the same time,
I would have loved that. It'd have been Everton versus Leeds.
Yeah, it would have been brilliant, and that would have probably been right, wouldn't it? But all right, I mean, last year, even better. It would have been Luton versus Nottingham Forest.
Starting Forest, not because Luton were poor in the second half of the season.
Yeah, but that would have been one heck of a game. There was only 6 points between them on the table. Forest weren't great last year. Obviously, was it the year before? Was it the year before where you were in it?
Did they have the points deduction?
Maybe. Yeah, it's funny enough. You wouldn't have actually even got the relegation playoff in the year before. It would have been Leicester. It would have been Leicester versus Everton. In that season, I would have backed Leicester over Everton.
Would you?
I know Everton got the points.
I think Pickford would have won it from again.
But I also think there's a point of Leicester, and this actually helps the playoff the Champions teams as well. They do playoff matches. A lot of them have a playoff match to get up.
Yeah, I suppose.
And for an Everton, they don't. When was the last time Everton were in a final? And effectively it's a final. It's a big game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally think that'd be a fun way to give at least a chance to the relegated teams without breaking the integrity of the league of giving them immunity, like Lewis Bowden said. God, fucking hell. Oh, let's just let the 3 teams that come up stay up for a year.
Yeah.
What?
Makes sense,
yeah.
Great idea.
Great. Yeah. So basically, for if you're a bottom half table team, you could be fucked.
Well, it's not even that. They could all come 17th, 18th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and if you're the 3 above them, you're done for. Equally, they could come 15th, 12th, and 11th. Mind you, then the bottom 3 would go down. Yeah, I'm just talking gibberish now.
Yeah, but imagine if you came 15th in the Premier League and got relegated.
Yeah, somehow.
It would have been fun for this season. Let's not lie. Tottenham and Man U. Actually, I think Man U would have stayed up. No, they didn't. They got 15 because West Ham won. West Ham won as well. They beat Ipswich 3-1. But yeah, I guess look, one more thing we wanted to just briefly touch on transfers. Liverpool look like they're cooking up a storm, don't they? 10 million in for Trent Alexander-Arnold for a month of football is incredible if you think about the fact that Real Madrid offered 20 in January, and we got half of that, and he played the rest of the season for us. Florian Wirtz, 130 odd million. It looks like is going to be the final amount after add-ons. Good deal, bad deal, overpaying. What do you reckon? Hard to tell.
I like Florian Wirtz.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just scared he's going to be the next Havertz, and I only say it because
couldn't it?
It's the same. It's the same type of player as what Havertz was by the same club.
He's better than Havertz though.
For a bit more money.
He's better.
And around the same age. He is.
He's
but
definitely better.
I just don't want him to be. I don't want him to be a flop.
No, because he's someone that you like the look of, don't you?
I'm more excited to see Kirkes and Frimpong bombing it down your wings.
Well, I wonder how much they will.
I'm more excited to see that.
I wonder
they will. Look,
they definitely
Frimpong,
will.
Frimpong will.
They definitely will. Kirkes, I think, will be a bit more reserved because Slot likes his fullbacks a little bit more reserved than Klopp ever did. It would have been thrilling to watch Frimpong and Kirkes in a Klopp team as well. But
it's just been announced
that Florian Wirtz is that? Nope.
That Chelsea have exchanged documents for Liam Delap tonight.
Oh, yep. Chelsea are getting Liam Delap. Good signing.
That is
Is it?
I think it's a great signing for him. Do you know what it is? For him, it was the case of I think
Everton, Man U, Chelsea, and
3 teams. Yeah, it was between Man United,
Newcastle.
Everton, and Chelsea for him.
Wasn't it Newcastle?
And Newcastle.
Well?
Yeah, but Newcastle, he was gonna sit behind Isaac.
If Isaac
Man United, you've not got Champions League football, and someone has to save that car crash.
Yeah.
Everton, you're not playing in Europe, and you're going to be potentially still in a relegation battle. And Chelsea, I think, if he was watching that Conference League final, seeing Jackson playing in there, he'd be like, I'm going to go there, and I'm going to score a
If Cole Palmer plays like that every week, bloody hell.
And he has Liam Delap. I think Liam Delap will absolutely thrive there. I think he'll be brilliant for Chelsea. he can't be worse than Jackson. He just can't be worse than Jackson. He's a donkey. He's an
The
absolute
only thing I'll
donkey.
say is I mean, look, we're talking about a Man City an ex-Man City player that's come up through the ranks. Kind of, I seem to remember someone doing Man City player going to Chelsea and doing quite well. Cole Palmer, was it? I assume, I don't know, but I assume that them two played together.
They may have in the under 21s, yeah. But
growing up,
also
probably...
who may have played with them is Lavia, because he was from the City Academy, went to Southampton, and then obviously went to Chelsea.
But if there is
So
a
he might have
pre-existing
been a
relationship between Palmer and Delap, which I'd imagine includes a lot of goals in the academy level, it could be quite dangerous for the Premier League. The only downside to it is there is that number 9 curse at Chelsea. It does exist.
There's a simple way to go about it. Don't wear the number 9.
Yeah, well, there's that too. But it's not just the number 9, because Jackson doesn't wear number 9, he wears 15 and he's still crap. It's just the position, isn't it? It'd be interesting. I'd like to see people succeed. I don't like Chelsea succeeding, as long as it doesn't affect Liverpool. But yeah, I think the only other way that they were going to surefire, there is a risk to Delap, obviously. But you're buying some 30 million, so the financial risk is minimised. Obviously, it's just the success risk. I think the only way they'd have guaranteed success in the striker position is if they went and got a world-class star. So the only two people I would say, and you let me know whether you think better or worse signing, say about 70 million, is Osimhen and Gyökeres.
For me, there's 3 strikers that I think any of the, other than Haaland, that's City, every other team, theoretical big 6 teams, there's 3 strikers that all 3 of them should be fighting for. All of them, all the other 5 of the big 6 should be fighting for.
I know the one that I didn't mention. I wonder if you're going to say him.
Yes, he's my favourite out of all 3.
I reckon I know.
So you've got Gyökeres.
Yeah,
Gyökeres.
Yep.
Yeah. Osimhen.
Yeah.
And Sesko. Sesko for me is, I just think Sesko is the most well-rounded striker of them all.
I was quite underwhelmed by him in the Euros. But
in the Euros, you have to remember he's only 21. He's the youngest of the lot. That was his first major tournament. He's been playing for.
Would you agree, underwhelming?
He was. I expected more from him, but playing for Leipzig and Salzburg beforehand, he's just fantastic. He's brilliant. He's like 6'5". He can run. He's like Haaland. He's a Haaland-esque player.
Yeah.
If I was any of the I'd love him to come to Leeds. Would love him, obviously. I mean, I'd have loved us to sign Delap. That'd have been a great signing for us. But
yeah, but it's the same thing, isn't it?
Move on.
But yeah, we'll go wrap it up here. The only other name I was thinking of, that I thought you might have said, is Julian Alvarez. I know he's at Atletico, but there's been some about him moving on. But he is a quality player as well. But yeah, I think, look, we're gonna have to wrap it up there, because we could probably end up talking all night. But yes, unless you've got anything like you last want to say. This is like you're biting your tongue.
No, I'm just looking forward to going to bed.
Yes, yeah, it's run late, and the missus is next to me looking like, why the fuck are you still talking? So, yeah, everyone, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and maybe next week we might have extra members of the squad, hopefully. Otherwise, it'd be just us two fools again, otherwise. Bye!
Bye.